Welcome everybody. This may shock you, but your brain actually hates when you try to change something about yourself. Like, think about that moment. Let it sit for a second. Your brain prevents you from making changes, whether it be good changes, bad changes, changes that are going to put you in a better place, or changes that could potentially put you into danger. It doesn't matter. Your brain doesn't like things to change. And that's something that we need to unpack, that we need to understand, and we need to know how to trick our brain into actually letting us change the things we want to change. Now, this is especially true for the type of people that I work with and the people who watch these videos. People like the burnout parents who feel like their consistency disappears when life starts to get heavy and busy, or entrepreneurs and leaders who can execute at work but like stall in personal habits and personal growth, or just high capacity people who are like tired of breaking promises to themselves, saying they're going to go do something and then not being able to go do it. Anyone who feels stuck in that, like they learn, try, stall, shame themselves, like that cycle of just, they learn it, they try it, they stall more, they learn, they try, they stall more. Like if any of you fit into that bucket, then this is going to be for you. Like if you've ever said like, I know what to do, I just can't make myself do it, then this video is going to be for you. And it's not a motivational video. It's not trying to get you to push harder, grind more, or trying to like fix yourself. No, it's about understanding why your brain actually resists the change. And then let's come up with the trick, the thing that works with your wiring instead of fighting against it. And so that's what we're diving into today. Now, I need to tell you something that took me a long time to understand. Like that reason you keep struggling with the follow through on the things that that matter has nothing to do with your character, has nothing to do with, your motivation or your drive or like nothing like that. No, has nothing to do. Like it's not because you're lazy or lack discipline, and it's definitely not because like something's wrong or broken inside of you. Here's the thing: you are very much like a lot of other people that we work with and that we talk to. Here's the thing: it's because you've been trying to change the way your brain was never designed to support. Like you're trying to install a new programming, a new software into a computer that just isn't compatible with that. And so if you think to yourself like, man, I know what to do, I can't make myself do it, like this is going to get really personal. It's going to really start to drive home for you. Not because you're failing, but because because that's just how we're wired. Your brain isn't working against you. It's working for predictability. Our brains are designed to look for patterns and to protect us from danger. And when you're in a busy season of life, when you're trying to do things, you're trying to move, shake, whatever that may be, it could be that you're busy, stressed, overwhelmed, have anxiety, or it could be that just busy time of life because you're trying to create something new. Like when those things happen, your brain starts to go into protective mode and it looks for predictability and it looks to protect you from the things that could be potential dangers. When something feels unclear, undefined, or open-ended, your system treats it like it's going to be a threat, even if that change is something that you genuinely want and something that will do such good things for you. And so every time that you try to just push forward through that with sheer willpower, every time that you promise yourself, like, this time it's going to be different, and then you just watch yourself maybe stall or avoid or quit, it doesn't just cost momentum. Like it costs like people around you, the people who rely on you see this happening. It costs you like trust in yourself. And that erosion, it is subtle, but it adds up over time because each time that you learn something new, feel hopeful, start strong, and then slip back into these old patterns, your brain doesn't forget it. It files it away as like, well, I guess I don't follow through. I guess I can't trust myself. I can't do the things I say I'm going to do. This is just who I am now. And I know that cycle well because I've been there. Like I thought the answer was more discipline or more commitment or more grit or the right calendar or the right blah, 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 whatever it meant. Like I'd set goals and that I genuinely cared about and felt motivated about for a while. And then I'd watch myself stall out again and wonder like why this one felt so like why it felt so hard. Like when I've handled so many other challenges in my life, like why is this going so weird for me? Why can't I do it? And then I just find myself, whether it be a week, a month, a year, or however long later, back in the same desire point, the desire to change, the desire to do the thing you want to do. It does not go away. And yet you find yourself back into that, like, let's go try it out. We stall. We wonder why we felt that, like, why this happened. We keep doing it again and again. Now, it changed, like, everything for me wasn't trying harder. It was realizing that I'd been using the wrong approach. I didn't need to fight my brain, change my brain. Like, I need to understand it and work with it. When change feels clear instead of vague, when starting feels so safe, instead of heavy, or progress creates immediate feedback instead of like a delayed pressure, your brain stops resisting it. And that's the game that we're going to play today as a part of all this. Now, I usually do this at the top of the video. Totally forgot to. Let me do it now. Welcome to the Giver Method channel. If you are new here, if you're back for another video, welcome back. My name is Jake Talbert. I'm the founder. I'm the author of the book, The Giver Method. Through this and through our Ignition Accelerator program, our one-on-one coaching program, like we work with people just like you. There's going to be links down below. Get yourself a copy of the book, or you can check out that Ignition Accelerator program, that one-on-one coaching program, if those things make sense. And we'll talk about them more later. But here's the thing we've learned. Like, as we work with parents just like you, entrepreneurs, the leaders or aspiring leaders within organizations, the really capable people, the burned out ones, the overwhelmed, the people who look functional on the outside like they have it all together, but on the inside are exhausted from constantly fighting against themselves. They feel like a ghost in their own homes. They feel disconnected from what actually matters to them. People who don't need more motivation, they just need a better strategy. Like, that's you. That's who we're talking to. Now, let me ask you something. I'll do it gently, but it should hopefully frame up more of this to really ground it for you. Like, if you've ever been able, have you ever been able to push yourself to succeed in certain areas of life? But there's that one habit or one pattern or one area that keeps slipping through your fingers again and again. I have. Or maybe you've tried multiple approaches and you felt that surge of hope and something finally made sense, and then you felt like let down when you didn't stick to it. Like, it only made that shame or that pain or that desire to want it more, but like you're still in the same place you were previously. Or maybe you've tried you're tired of this cycle that you keep going through, the learn, try, fall off, feel worse, repeat cycle. Like, if that's you, I want you to hear this clearly. Like, everything we're covering today is meant for you, because like there's nothing wrong with you. There's not anything wrong, broken. It's not that you're weak. And once again, you are not alone. There are thousands and thousands of people just like you. You've been trying to change in a way that keeps triggering resistance instead of reducing it. And so let's unpack that more. Now, I should, once again, probably deeper dive into everything. What we're covering today is grounded in principles directly from the Giver Method, as well as things that we take people through in the Ignition Accelerator program. And so right now, like, the book, you can actually get it. It's on sale because we just passed a year anniversary of having it out. It's been an Amazon bestseller multiple times, and I'm just trying to get it into the hands of as many people as possible because it's meant for people like you and me. I wrote it for the parents, the entrepreneurs, the leaders and aspiring leaders within organizations, like, who I know can't just burn everything down and start from scratch, who can't just go move to the woods to go find themselves, or can't go to some woke retreat that's going to help them like rediscover everything. No, that's not you. You got to be able to do these things in like the life you're living right now, amongst all the tasks, the to-dos, the messy middle of it all. And so everything in here, every chapter has stories, action items, exercises, worksheets you can go download that help walk you through the principles we're talking about, living in the life that you're already living, so you can upgrade it and show up differently. Because here's the thing, if you go and you do the work here, discover your gift superpower, start delivering more value to the people around you, create more impact and influence, you live a more fulfilled life. You create new opportunities for yourself. Like, the universe always pays people back based off of that. So I'll put a link in the description. Go get yourself a copy of this. Also, like I said, it's grounded principles that we teach in the Ignition Accelerator, which is where we actually walk you through the principles one-on-one. It's a 90-day coaching program. So there'll be a link below that covers that as well. And here's the thing, the book, the program, I want to be your guide. I want to be the person that walks alongside you, because I know what it's like to make those promises to yourself and then quietly stop believing your own word. I said, what helped me wasn't more effort. It was just understanding like how change actually works in the real world and designing like my approach around it instead of fighting against it. And so I want to walk you through, like, these are going to be like some strategies. There's brain friendly tactics, tricks, things like that help you to close this, like, I call it the knowing doing gap, where it's like, I know what to do, but am I doing it? Not by pushing harder, not by but by truly making things feel safer and simpler and more sustainable. So we're going to cover 4 very specific principles. Each one's going to have steps and action items that you could go put into place right now. So you may want to grab a piece of paper, open up a notes app, and jot things down as we go as a part of that. Nothing here is going to require like superhuman discipline. Nothing's asking you to become someone else. Like, this is just finally about getting your brain on your side as a part of all this. And if you decide later like that you want help installing any of that, not just understanding it, like, then I'll tell you more about we'll dive deeper into the things that are in the Giver Method or the Ignition Accelerator at the end of the video. Like I said, there's a link down below. You can check out those pages, and see if it makes sense for you, or to book a call in the Ignition Accelerator. At the same time, you can go follow us on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, LinkedIn, all the social media channels under the handle of the Giver Method. We post articles onto LinkedIn, Medium, Substack. Like, you can go follow us in those places, like, if you want more free content. At the same time, you can go to thegivermethod.com, check out all of our free resources there, as well as I'll put a link in the description where there's a bunch of free resources you can go get that help you in each of these areas. And then if you lead a team, have a stage, a podcast, an event where this message would resonate with your people, then let's talk about how we can bring it to them in a real way. There's a link below about speaking and podcasting as well. Now, of course, before we dive in, make sure you do the YouTube things, like the video, subscribe to the channel, ring that bell for notifications, and comment your thoughts along the way. For now, just stay with me, because once you stop fighting how you're wired, how your brain does these things, change stops feeling like a battle, and things just start to feel possible again. And so let's dive into those. The first principle of the 4 that I want to cover, okay? I've referred to it before as like this like predictability scaffolding that you'd put up, like how you make change feel safe first, because it's like how you have to stop your brain from like sounding the alarm every time you try to grow, because your brain is going to do that. It surprises a lot of people. Like your brain, okay, I know I said it hates change. Like, well, gosh, it doesn't actually hate change. It just hates not knowing what's next. And that's an important difference. Most of the resistance that you feel when you try to like start a new habit isn't because you're undisciplined or inconsistent. It's because your brain can't predict what the change is going to cost you. How long is this going to take? How much energy will it require? What if I start and I can't finish? What if this turns into one more thing that I have to maintain? Or even like, this is taking longer than I thought. This is taking more energy than I thought. I don't know if I can finish. Like, these are the thoughts that happen to your brain as a part of that. When your brain doesn't have the answers, it treats that habit, that thing, that change you're trying to do as a threat, and it pulls back towards what's familiar. Once again, not a weakness. That's the survival wiring, like doing its job. That's your brain doing what it's just been designed to do. And so this shift, like, you don't have to eliminate change to feel safe. You have to eliminate the uncertainty. And so let's talk about how you do that, how you do it without forcing yourself through that resistance. And so the first thing you want to do here is you want to name what your brain is actually reacting to. Once again, your brain, it isn't afraid of the habit itself. It's reacting to the unknowns around it. Those background questions that create like low-grade stress response, that makes avoidance feel like relief. So instead of pushing harder, like, you got to reframe and be like, okay, well, hold on. My brain isn't broken. It's just uncertain. And so if you catch yourself like starting to like be uncertain or unsure, like not wanting to take the next step forward, if you write this down and come back to it and you say it out loud, my brain isn't broken, it's just uncertain. Like, that alone is going to soften the pressure, and all of a sudden it's like, okay, it's uncertain. Now I can actually like find the thing that's going to happen. So like now you want to lock in like one time, one place. This is where safety starts to get built. You pick one specific time, one specific place for this habit. So it's like, okay, well, it's just uncertain, but you know what? I'm just going to pick this day, this time. Like, I'm gonna do it on this day, this time, in this amount of time, right? The same place, the same time, every single time. Like, your brain knows exactly where and when something's gonna happen. So if you're trying to make the change or do the habit, you just set yourself down and you actually write it out. You put it on a calendar. But your brain wants to know when the thing's gonna happen, because then it's not uncharted territory that's uncertain about. And so you're like, hey, I'm trying to make this change, this habit, this thing. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to do blank at this time, blank, and I'm gonna do it in this location. Like, that's it. And once again, we're not looking for like, don't be flexible, not like I'll fit it in later. Like, decide, and then once you do, like, you don't have to decide again, and you hold to it. You hold true to that religiously. Now, the next thing that you want to do is add small rituals that signals like familiarity as a part of that. Before you start a habit, do the same like tiny thing every time. I'm going to use the same chair, the same pen, the same app, the same song, the same 3 breaths, whatever it is. Like, doesn't matter what that thing is. What matters is that you just do something consistent. You have some sort of a ritual that tells your nervous system, like, we've been here before, this is familiar, and it's safe. So like, write out what's your pre-habit ritual. Like, okay, before I go try to do that thing, I'm going to do blank. And then make the first 2 minutes of whatever you're doing identical. This part, like, it really does matter more than you think. The first 2 minutes, they're where resistance is the highest. So like, remove the creativity from them. Right? Same opening action, same sequence, same thing every time. If you're like writing, well, open the document and write one honest sentence. If you're exercising, put on those shoes and do the same 3 movements every single time. Once those 2 minutes are predictable, your brain relaxes. What happens after can vary, but like, the start stays the same. And then let pattern recognition start to take over, because over time, there's these little shifts, these subtle shifts that happen where your brain starts expecting the habit. And there's no debate, there's no buildup, there's no friction. You're no longer like relying on motivation, you're relying on the pattern recognition, which is like your brain is already great at. It's what it's been doing. So like, This is why the routines work when like willpower doesn't. Like predictability, it removes the threat. And when the threat's gone, change doesn't feel like a fight anymore. People try to change by asking themselves to feel more motivated every day. But once again, motivation is unreliable. Like it goes up and down day by day. Predictability isn't. Like you create those predictable things. Your brain starts to see it. It feels safe. It stops feeling dramatic, and it makes things start happening as a part of that for you. Now that takes us into the second principle I want to cover, okay? Like how you make starting what you're doing uncomfortably easy. So we talked about 2-minute rule, like those first 2 minutes. Like this is how you make starting so easy your brain can't say no. You build momentum without relying on motivation. And if we talk about like why most habits don't stick, it's not because people don't care. It's not because they're lazy or inconsistent. It's just because like they start with a level that only works on their best days. They're motivated, they're hopeful, they're going to go do the thing, and they set the standard that requires more energy and more enthusiasm to maintain. And then life shows up. Sleep got shorter, stress is heavier, like time disappears, and suddenly the habit feels impossible to even begin. And so this shifts this changes things for you. If you start smaller than feels like reasonable, it's actually the fastest way to move forward because your brain can't argue with just 2 minutes. And so here's what you want to do. First, shrink whatever the habit is until it almost feels laughable. Like without this, you take whatever you want to build. Your only goal is to do it if you can only do it for 2 minutes or less, what would it be? Like meditation, I'm gonna do 60 seconds. Exercises, I'm gonna put on my shoes and start moving for 2 minutes. Writing, I'm just gonna write a sentence. Reading, I'm gonna just pick one page to go through. And so whatever yours is, pick it. What's the 2-minute version? So simple that your brain can't talk you out of it. And then write that down as a commitment. Hey, the 2-minute version of my habit is blank. If your brain says like, hey, that's too small to count, then you're probably right on. You're probably in the exact place you need to be based off that. And then you just compound that over time. The other thing, like the next thing you do here is like you give yourself permission to stop. And this particularly, like this removes a lot of resistance. When you tell yourself clearly and explicitly like, hey, my only job is to start. Stopping after 2 minutes is always allowed. Most people don't realize it, but like your brain isn't just resisting the habit, it's resisting like what it might turn into. Like, what if this takes longer than I have? What if I can't start and I can't finish? What if this becomes like one more obligation? When stopping is allowed, the threat disappears. When the threat disappears, like it starts becoming more possible because your brain lets down its guards. Now, the next thing is like, know what you're really building. You're not building a 2-minute habit. You're building a habit of showing up. Starting is where the friction lives. Once you've started, momentum often carries you forward. But here's the important part of all this. Even if you stop at exactly 2 minutes, you still won. That's a win. That's a checkbox. Like you did it. You did what you said you were going to do. And that deposit back into your own internal trust system helps so much. Your identity doesn't change through the intensity of the things you're doing. It changes because like you have repeat follow through again and again. And that 2 minutes, it does pay into that. And the next thing, like let time do the quiet work. Now here's what most people notice if they stay with this. After about a week, they start to, they're thinking that like, man, this just doesn't feel like it counts. By week 2, your brain starts expecting the behavior. By week 3, often you want to do more, but like you don't have to if you don't want to. And then by the 4th week, like this habit feels so normal, it's almost automatic. If you decide to expand on it later, great. Just keep the initial permission in place. Like, hey, I can stop at 2 minutes if I need to. Like the moment starts feeling like once it starts feeling threatening again, you've probably pushed it too far. And then use this as your baseline on hard days. There will be days where your energy is low, where life is heavy. And on those days, your 2-minute version becomes the baseline. Like the baseline days protect your identity. Hey, I'm the kind of person that shows up. And so write it out. Hey, on my hardest days, like, I will still do blank. Like write that out. Make a promise to yourself as a part of that. Most people think that like they fail because like habits, because of there's some sort of like lack of discipline or like motivation. Like, no, the real reason is much, much simpler. They build habits they can't survive on their hard days. And this is all about like, hey, well, let's change that. 2 minutes, so easy, like it feels silly. Not that you're doing perfect things, not that you're doing in like the intensity at the highest, but just sustainable, because sustainable will always win for you. And that takes us to the third principle I want to cover. Sometimes you have to borrow motivation instead of waiting for it. This is how you make a habit feel rewarding without forcing discipline. A lot of people don't think about this. They don't realize it. Like you don't actually have a motivation problem. You have a placement problem. Your brain already knows how it wants things. Like it's like, hey, that's the podcast you love, the show that you're saving for later, the coffee you're looking forward, that little hit of scrolling that you do at the end of the day. That desire already exists. You don't need to manufacture it. So instead of trying to like summon motivation from the air, like we borrow it. You attach it to a habit that you're already trying to build. That's what like this temptation building, this sort of idea of like is all about. It links something your brain already wants to something that you've been avoiding. And once those two get paired, like resistance drops really, really fast. So here's what I want you to do. Like, this is how you do this so your habits stop feeling like a punishment. Like, name what your brain already wants. Like, once again, no judgment here, just be honest. What are the things it genuinely looks forward to? A podcast, an audiobook, a show that you want to watch, a playlist that shifts your mood, your favorite coffee, your favorite treat. Like scrolling, yeah, we can use that sort of thing strategically too. It's not always doom scrolling, like you could use it strategically. So whatever yours is, write it down. The things I naturally crave are blank, and just write them down. You're not creating desire, you're just identifying what those things are. Now pair that with like the need. You connect what you're craving to the habit. And so it's structural. Hey, I only get X when I do Y. I only listen to my favorite podcast while I'm walking. I only watch my favorite show while I'm on a treadmill. I only get my morning coffee after I journal. I only scroll while stretching or doing mobility works, whatever. Write yours down. I only get blank when I do blank. And it isn't a suggestion, it's just a decision that you're making, and you just go with it. You live by that. Then there's also make the bundle exclusive, right? And this makes this work so much more. Like if you can get the reward without doing the habit, then the connection weakens. The podcast stays with the walk. The show stays with the treadmill. The treat stays tied to the action. But if you slip, you don't abandon your system. You just shrink the habit requirement. But keep the exclusivity that these are bundled together. That's how you preserve that thing going forward. And then keep the habit requirement small. And this is important, really important, that a lot of people overthink. If the need that you have feels demanding, your brain will avoid the bundle altogether. It'll keep it tiny at first. So just keep it small. If your brain is avoiding it because it feels too big, then you don't even get the reward. So no, I want the reward. Let me shrink it down. You don't need a 60-minute workout to earn the podcast. Walk for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, just enough to create the link between the two. Once an association is formed, expansion happens naturally. But never grow into it too fast, because then it starts to feel heavy again. And then watch the craving shift. And here's what a lot of people don't expect, that over time, your brain starts linking the habit to the reward. The pathways merge. Eventually, you don't just crave the podcast or the coffee, you start craving the walk or the journaling, the movement. Not because you forced discipline, but because the habit became the gateway to something pleasurable. You don't need to create motivation, you just need to redirect it. You need to borrow from those things. Most people try to build habits using discipline alone, but discipline, it's fragile. It depends on sleep, stress, energy, how full your plate is right now. Temptation bundling, the sort of idea of we're going to put these things together, it doesn't ask for more discipline. It works with how your brain already operates. And then that takes us to the fourth principle, which I love this one. It's one of my favorites. You have to decide who you are before you decide what to do. So let's stop draining your willpower and start acting in alignment with who you actually are. Something that, why some habits stick and why some disappear. Let's just dive into that. Most people try to change at a behavior level. I need to work out more. I need to eat better. I need to be more consistent with this thing, whatever it is. And every single day that creates a new internal negotiation. Do I feel like it? Do I have the energy? Is today the day I finally follow through? That constant decision making is exhausting. And eventually willpower runs out. Identity-based change works differently. Instead of asking what should I do today, ask who am I becoming? And when your actions line up with your identity, they stop feeling forced and they start feeling obvious. And once again, when you start acting on those things right away, the universe has ways of paying you back for that. So let's talk about without even feel how you do this without feeling fake or delusional. Once again, this isn't some woo tactic. This is true things that are gonna make an impact. Number one, understand why identity changes your behavior so much more. That's how our brains are wired. We're wired in how we see ourselves. So if the internal story is I'm someone who doesn't follow through, your brain quietly looks for the ways to confirm that. But if you start to shift the story, you say these things out loud. I'm someone who keeps promises to myself. your brain starts scanning for evidence that supports that. Same brain, different filter. The filter matters more than the motivation ever will. And then you create whatever your identity statement is that your brain can believe. You know, people sabotage themselves because like I'm unstoppable. Like it sounds nice, but like your nervous system doesn't buy it. It feels too big, too abstract, too disconnected from today. Like what works is something specific and behaviorable and provable. You know, so something like, hey, I'm the kind of person who keeps small promises to myself. I'm someone who shows up even when I don't feel like it. I'm the kind of person who moves my body every day, even for just a few minutes. Write yours out. I'm the kind of person who blank. This is your identity statement. Like if you can prove it today, it's probably a good statement. And then use an identity question in the moment. Like this is where it becomes real, because like when you're deciding whether to do a habit, pause and ask yourself, what would the aligned version of me do in the next 2 minutes? Not what should I do or what do I feel like doing, just like, well, what would that version of me do? Briefly, imperfectly, if it just could do it right now. Once again, you're not forcing behavior, you're just practicing alignment. And then collect evidence, not look for perfection. And this is shit people miss. Like you're not trying to be this new person, like the person you're becoming, like perfectly. You're just trying to gather proof that you're becoming them. You're on your path to that. Every aligned action, even the tiny ones, are deposits and evidence that compounds over time. After a few weeks, old identity statements wobble, not because you fought against them, but because like now you've got proof that's too strong to ignore. And so you write somewhere visible like, hey, evidence I'm becoming this person is blank. And then you add to it daily. You look for reasons to add to it. And then you review that evidence. You have to review it ever so often. Maybe it's a weekly basis because your brain has a really strong negativity bias. It remembers what you missed and it never forgets like what you followed through on. So once a week, just list 5 things, like big or small, that you did that like you said you were going to do. Hey, I took that 2-minute version on a hard day. I stopped when I said I was going to stop. I showed up imperfectly instead of avoiding this thing. Whatever yours are, write them out. Hey, this week's evidence that I'm becoming who I said I want to become are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is how that self-trust gets rebuilt. It's not through hype. Like it's through this acknowledgement. Most people wait to feel confident before they act, but confidence doesn't come first. Evidence does, and evidence comes from acting and doing things. Like you're no longer convincing yourself of something new. You're showing yourself, and like I can do this. Over time, your identity stops being something that you say. It just becomes what you live, one small action at a time. And so, as we wrap all this up, as we talk through these principles, what I want to leave with you, like, is very important. It's like there's not a pressure here. Not another system that you need to memorize, and definitely not with a feeling that you need to overhaul your life starting tomorrow. What I want you to leave with is a little bit of clarity and a little bit of relief. Because what you've been struggling with isn't a lack of discipline or commitment, it's this knowing and doing gap. And that gap isn't a character flaw. It's your brain doing exactly what it's designed to do. Protect it from the unpredictability, conserve energy, keep things familiar. Once you understand that, like everything will change for you. And the things we walked through today, the like predictability scaffolding, the 2-minute rule, these temptation building, identity-based actions, whatever, like they aren't about trying harder. They're about working with your wiring instead of fighting against it, making change like that just feels safe enough to start, rewarding enough to repeat, and a structure that you can sustain ongoing. And for some of you, this video might honestly be enough. Like it's going to cover everything you need. You pick a strategy tonight, you shrink it down to 2 minutes, you lock in your time and place, you borrow motivation instead of demanding it. And slowly, without any sort of craziness or drama, you'll start closing your knowing doing gap. That's real progress, and it absolutely counts, and I'm excited for you. Now, some of you need a little bit more support than that. That's why I always put in the description a ton of free resources that help with this stuff. Go check them out. There's links down there. At the same time, you may want to go pick up a copy of the Giver Method and work through this on your own, right? Like the Giver Method will walk you through these principles. Like I said, if right now you get it for as little as $2 on Amazon, the link is in the description. Get it. And you might simply just stop blaming yourself and start being more strategic. And if that happens, then this video did exactly what it's meant to do. But there are others of you, and if you're in this bucket, you can feel it. Like you've tried the techniques before, you've felt that initial spark, and then you've watched yourself fall off again and again. And the hard part hasn't been the habit itself, it's been the shame of falling off again and again, and looping and learning and reasoning and trying and then stalling and then feeling worse than before. If that's you, then let's talk about this thing called the Ignition Accelerator program we have. Once again, I'm not doing this as a pitch, but this is an option you have available to you. This is our 90-day one-on-one coaching program we do. It's a one-on-one partnership where we take you from where what we started here. We actually build on it into your real life as a part of that. We slow things down. We identify where your energy and follow through have been leaking. We design systems that like fit your schedule and like your responsibilities and your reality. And then we reconnect like that change to your values and your gifts, like without any guilt or pressure. And then of course, we're going to install structures that make this consistency automatic, not without being exhausting. By the end, you're not trying to follow through anymore. You just do, because like the strategy is carrying the weight, not your willpower. So there's a link in the description about that if you want, like, you can learn more. You can book a call. Once again, I love doing those calls because it's a no pressure, no script. It's just a real conversation. If it's the right step for you, then like we'll tell you that. If not, then like I'll try to point you in the right direction. Once again, you can still grab a copy of The Giver Myth on Amazon, work through it yourself. You can explore all those free resources. You can start tonight with one small intelligent shift. And of course, if you are a leader, you have a team, a podcast, stage, event where this message would resonate with your people, check out the link below where we could connect on talking about bring it to that podcast, that event, that audience, whatever that may look like. And then, of course, do all the YouTube things if you haven't already. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, ring that bell for notifications, comment anything you wanted that you've taken away from here. And before you go, I want you to hear this clearly. You didn't click on this video by accident. Like, you've been stuck in this learn, try, stall cycle, like, for a long time. You've been wondering why you can't understand, like, gosh, I can understand what I need to do, but I can't seem to follow through on it. You've been tired of making promises to yourself and watching, like, them break apart. And you need this. Like, you need to hear this. Like, there's nothing wrong with you. Your brain is doing exactly what it's designed to do. The problem isn't anything with you. It's not a character flaw. It was the strategy you've been approaching, and now you have a better one. So if you're willing, like, leave a comment with the sense of like, hey, the habit I'm going to shrink down to 2 minutes is blank. Just one, not for validation, like not for accountability, like performance or anything, but because like the moment that you decide and you name it, your brain stops treating it like a someday idea and starts treating it like a path that you're already on. You don't need any more willpower. You need better leverage, and you can start that tonight. I'm excited to see where that takes you as a part of that. Welcome to getting your brain back on your side and being able to actually make the changes you want to make. Now, feel free to check out the other videos on the channel. They dive deeper into these things. Go to thegivermethod.com, check out all of our resources, check us out on social media, all those fun things. Hopefully we'll catch you in one of our upcoming videos. Have a great rest of your day.